Alright, guys, we's back for episode 2 and 3 of She-Hulk. We'll be talking about some of our thoughts on the episodes, and as well as some. Well, I really just wrote just our thoughts on the episode.
Yeah.
Anything that caught our minds or our attention, we'll be sure to notify. But yeah, so episode 2 and 3. Episode 1 was very much the origin of She-Hulk, and we've talked about that and how interesting it was that they established that for She-Hulk, for Jennifer Walters, her rage is different. She kind of already has to figure out a way to control it even before she was a Hulk. Because of, certain things going on. Which, to me, made a lot of sense. For you, made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes just sense all around. And now we are getting to the whole, reaction of what happened at the end of that first episode, which is her going She-Hulk in the middle of the courtroom.
Yeah. And the obviously it's like, oh wow, new superhero. It's the She-Hulk as some people called it. And she's very much like, why She-Hulk though? Like, can't I choose my name? And it's like, well, it looks like it's gonna stick. You got anything better?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And yeah, granted, it does lead to a bit of consequences. She saves the day. It unfortunately kind of ruins her case because then the other attorneys making arguments like, since she saved their lives, that means they're biased to be for her.
Yeah, the jury.
And she essentially loses her job as a lawyer, and no one wants to hire her because of being the She-Hulk. And
they don't want the attention.
Yeah, and it's very much just like, well, she's sort of dealing with kind of the concept. Like, well, I just want a regular job. I don't want to be a superhero. I'm fine with. I feel like I did great protecting and saving those people, but I still want to just be a lawyer. I went through school for all that stuff, But the opposing team lawyers from that trial,
essentially, essentially they hire her because they're starting a superhuman law division.
Yeah, and they wanted the She-Hulk, who is a lawyer and a superhero,
which makes sense.
Yeah, to be the face, and her first job is to try to get Emil Blonsky, the Abomination from the first Hulk movie, out of jail.
and that's where the comedy is at. It's the idea that Jennifer Walters has to essentially bail out her cousin's mortal enemy.
Yeah, because definitely there was a lot of tension in that first movie. He straight up wanted to kill him at one point. Yeah, so there's a lot of
Hulk damn near killed him with that kick.
Yeah,
he Spartan kicked that man.
Yeah, it's just he's like, I feel like I have some ethical issues with this, and it's like, well, if you don't take the case, then you're out of a job, and it's like, well, crap. And she goes, talks to him, and she actually does find some interesting angles to edit him out, and he does. And it's interesting how I forget his name. It's the actor's name.
Emil Blonsky?
Yeah, Emil Blonsky's actor. I think it's something Roth, right?
Yeah, Tim Roth.
Yeah, I think Tim Roth. Yeah, it's kind of funny how sort of plays it up, and he's very much like, oh, I'm reformed now.
I swear it's a different accent than he had.
Yeah, I feel like it is because I think he's supposed to be Russian.
Yeah.
Or I'm pretty sure Russian. I don't remember, but he has more a chilled, laid back, I've reformed. I have some pen pals and all that stuff, and hey, I was told by the U.S. government to take down the Hulk, and they've injected me with all this super soldier serum and turned me to what I am, and now the Hulk is seen as a hero, and I'm just here in prison, and she's sort of just wait, we could use that angle. Then if the government was pumping you with all that drugs and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe there's a way to get out of this. And, you know, she talks to Bruce about it. And at this point, Bruce is very much like, yeah, I was obviously I was a different person back then, and I think he's a different person because he sent me a little nice haiku.
Yeah, the comedy comes from the fact that like it's just Tim Roth doing like just this really funny bit, like this like reformed villain, but it's more funnier. And like it's also funny because like they make a joke like I was a totally different person, me Hulk, and like Jen Walters, who again fourth wall breaks throughout the show, is like, yeah, we've noticed, we completely noticed that. As a nod to the fact that the Hulk was played by
Edward Norton
Edward Norton in the first movie, and then now he's played by
Mark Ruffalo.
Which I think was a better idea, to be honest. I like Mark Ruffalo. He's I think he works better in this sort of, in like because I can't see Edward Norton being like a
being the type of Hulk that they've sort of written and type of Bruce Banner Hulk that they've written.
Well, yeah, there's reasons for the why it was written that way, but also I was gonna say I can't see Edward Norton being like tied down to a franchise, right?
No, I get it. Yeah, I know. I understand that as well. Yeah, he definitely seems like he's an actor who wants to get like do his own thing, you know, like not be tied down to a franchise. So yeah, no.
I think that was one of the things why he ended up leaving the Hulk stuff, because he wanted to go further in on the whole like, you know, mental aspect of Hulk, you know, his trauma and all that stuff that you find in the comics, right? Because obviously we don't get any of that. That's in the movies, but like if you're a Hulk fan and you know the situation that Hulk has been with, you can kind of get why, you know, he wanted to do that. Especially it's Edward Norton. He kind of likes that kind of stuff. Like, he was. I mean, not Seven. What was it?
Fight Club.
Fight Club. The Hannibal Lecter movie, Red Dragon.
Yeah.
He likes to do some of the more, you know, psychological stuff. Yeah, and so I can totally see him going into stuff like that. Now, obviously, if you've seen Shang-Chi, you know what happens with Abomination.
Yeah, because, you know, she's all set to, like, take the case, and it's like, we got a real winning strategy, and then her boss is like, you should probably watch the news, because then it leaks out that, oh yeah, the Abomination was in a fight club in China, and he broke out of prison, and it's like, when did this? And she just looks at the camera and is like, well, crap.
Yeah.
Which leads into episode 3.
Yeah, I was going to say what we forgot to talk about is Jennifer Walters this is the beginning of her starting to come to terms with her being She-Hulk, because she does like visit family and has a conversation with her dad about, you know, being She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a very important note as in the next episode, because in the next episode, you have an
A-B plot.
Yeah, I mean, we have A-B plot, and I think this is, for me, where She-Hulk is the strongest. If we were going to continue, you know, the show as is, like in this format, where for me, the superhero lawyering is real fun.
Yeah,
because the A plot is obviously Jen trying to deal with this situation with Abomination, and like trying to get Wong into this, because Wong is a witness, and we find out from Emily Blanc, he's like, yeah, Wong came in and picked me up.
Yeah, and it's like, we gotta find Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme. God damn it.
And well, the B plot is that, hey, you remember that asshole from the first episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back, and because he needs someone to represent him in court, because he was bamboozled into thinking he was dating Megan Thee Stallion, which in reality it was a Asgardian shapeshifter.
Yeah, and that's your B plot. Which, yeah, because I feel like, interesting enough, there isn't really a whole ton of like A plots or B like B plots in these Marvel shows where there's like a separate like mini thing, because usually that's only reserved for like very serialized episodic shows usually, like typical like comedy shows you see on like TV, where like there's a main plot and there's like a secondary plot with like some of the side characters that are doing their own thing, and it's sort of like they eventually cross paths. That's sort of how it works generally.
Yeah.
And here obviously it works because yeah, it's like the one coworker that Jennifer Walters had, and she's like, "Oh, this idiot! Of course this would happen to him." And he's laughing. And it's like, so they have like a different lawyer take up the case. And they sort of like, we see both, like, obviously we see Jen doing that. We see like this lawyer having to deal with the nonsense of a shapeshifter just trying to like mess with them.
Yeah, and it's the shapeshifting stuff is in of itself some of the funniest things that we've seen from Marvel. In my opinion, legit funny, because like it's just like, I'm a shapeshifter, you know what's going on.
Yeah, she's a very she definitely feels like she just straight up just messes with people. Like
she's quirky and fun.
Yeah, like she comes in like, because after the guy leaves, she comes in and is like, "I have decided to drop my case and stuff." And it's like,
wait, what?
What? And he gets a phone call. It's from the guy, and it's like, wait a second. And she leaves as the lawyer, trying to be like, "Oh yeah, I love to harass women," and it's like, that's not true.
You guys work with me.
It's like, get out of here.
The funny is that this man is clearly going through some stressful moments.
He's just having to deal with this nonsense.
He's a normal human.
Yeah, just like, Jesus Christ.
Because like, not only does he have to deal with the shapeshifter, he has to deal with the asshole that Jen Walsh used to work for.
Yeah,
which even he's like,
oh my god,
how the fuck did you handle this guy? And like, if we're praising the B plot, don't forget the A plot was also fantastic.
I mean, yeah, because like, obviously, like with Wong, and it's like, oh, okay, so like, yeah, I needed to fight a worthy opponent in order to complete my Sorcerer Supreme training and mastery and stuff, and it's like, okay, and we get explanations like, yeah, no, yeah, I decided, I wanted to let him like stay with Incomertage. And he was like, "No, I'll go back to prison." It's that's the ace in the hole.
Yeah, that's there you go. And the whole time is just like Jen Walters trying to like convince these the judges, like, "Hey, no, he's good, and like her trying so hard, and it's just really comedic, It probably the funniest part for me was like when like Emil's like, "I got this," and it's like, no. No, because like I remember watching trailers like, oh, he's gonna get angry. He's gonna be like, oh, it's like, oh no, I can just turn it on and off like that.
Yeah, because like the one big issue for them is like, when he becomes the Abomination, he's a
raging monster.
Raging monsters cannot be controlled, and it's like, oh, don't worry, I got this. And it's like, no, I can show you guys that I can turn into the Abomination and be a regular person or whatever. Yeah. And he does, and everybody starts freaking out. Like all the prison guards show up, and like. The panel of the
judges or
whatever, yeah, they're like just like screaming and like losing their shit, and it's just like, yo, everybody calm down, and he just sort of like grabs his little cloak. It's like, yeah, I'll just sit down, and he just tie very neatly, putting his shoes down, making sure he doesn't step on them, and it's sort of like, and she just like Jen Walters is like, you know what? Okay, after all that nonsense, this actually proves my case, like, hey, he turned into the Abomination, he's not a raging monster, he's able to control it. He could have broken out of this place at any time, but no, he chose to stay here.
It's just like her trying to handle all this superhero bullshit while trying to like prove a point. Is just the comedy in of itself. Obviously though, for me, the way they tied it up together was just genius, because like she proves her point. They got Wong. Wong's like, yeah, that's true. I needed him for something. And he's like, okay, Wong, you do know it's like a crime to
break a prisoner out. And
he's like, I will be taking my leave.
and it's funny because no one actually even stops him.
It's like, why would you?
Yeah, just like, well, I'm out. Peace. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess to be fair, yeah, it's like, how are you going to stop the Sorcerer Supreme? You know? He's just going to skedaddle out of here.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way you can hold him down. Because like he has a way to open portals.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the U.S. government has not found technology that can help suppress magic. So
not yet.
I mean, not yet, but
Which can I just say? So they announced they're doing the Thunderbolts. Is Abomination going to be in it?
I mean, who knows? I mean, I know that I think we talked about it when they announced it. Like the Thunderbolts are very much like not evil Avengers, but very much like they're anti-heroes and various other heroes that like do the things that like they get their hands dirty, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's potentially possible, especially since yes, Emil Bronsky does get parole. He's able to live out in society again.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be like a one bit joke of like, nah, like they go visit him on his little farm or whatever, and it's like, we need you, all right? We need like a big strong guy, and it's like, I can't, that life's beyond me now.
We'll pay you handsomely. Well, now that you say that.
Yeah. So I think it's entirely possible that's that they might do that. But like, I guess to be fair, there's already like a good chunk of list of who could potentially be in the Thunderbolts, who can't. I mean, it's always been a rotating cast of characters anyway.
Yeah, and you're right. But I just thought it'd be a really cool way to bring it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they tied it up together with Jen Walters essentially speaking for, the defense.
Yeah, for her client and stuff on TV. Like, it's probably her first, like, big, like, TV, like, talking to the news and stuff, and being She-Hulk,
Yeah.
Because
by the way, the media
is definitely like
weird.
They're very much doing what the media likes to do sometimes, just sensationalize that stuff. I mean, there was a whole her friend even talks about like, oh wow, they're saying that you are in a relationship with the Abomination and you're carrying his baby. And it's like
what?
It's like, oh my god. And she's very annoyed by it. It's like, I just want this to end.
Probably my favorite part was just like the internet trolls. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, where it's like where someone is like, they made like a female Hulk. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's like, oh god damn it, this is.
I feel like this is probably the first like real like meta take in the MCU of like how because I feel like the MCU doesn't really do like tons of like meta stuff. I guess where it comes to like how they have like an audience like, oh, that's what the fans think of what we see right now or whatever. I mean, I think Miss Marvel kind of does that a little bit because she is like a super fan.
Mm-hmm.
But not to the extent I think this whole segment was about, where it's more like, oh yeah, there's just a bunch of weird dudes just being like why do we have to have so many female superheroes, huh? Although the last person was like,
that's a cherry on top because everyone's like complaining, but then this one guy was like, hey, listen, man,
I smash.
All I'm saying is like, death by snooze is one way to go.
He was just like, yeah, no, I smash. Like, I don't understand. I smash.
Yeah, like that's the funniest line of the whole thing. It's like, yeah, no, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be fair, that's probably a good indication of how most people probably do view She-Hulk in the modern era, where it's like, yeah, it's a little weird, but I smash.
Yeah, there's gonna be people who are like, wait, there's a female Hulk, really? And it's like, and there's gonna be half of the other audience like, okay, but no, she's hot though.
Yeah. And it does. And after this whole segment, she's walking back to her apartment, I think, and she gets attacked by these four guys.
Yeah, and at first, I'll be honest, it didn't click to me until you said it. It was the Wrecking Crew. Yeah,
which is if you don't know, it's they're very. Like, they're essentially like a C-list villains, but they're very associated with...
C might be a little nice.
Yeah, they're very obscure. They're just a bunch of dudes with, like, who have, like, construction material, like construction stuff, like hammers or, like, crowbars, and they're all, like...
chains.
Yeah, they're all, like, super enhanced, which allows them to do, like, villain stuff.
Yeah. Like, they're like, super-powered construction workers. Well, and their weapons are construction
weapons. Yeah, so it's just like it's very
it's
dumb.
Very like Silver Age comics, really silly and campy.
And they do point out, it's like, did you just rob like some Asgardian construction crew? And they're just like, yes. And
like that's like a nice way to make it like a nice modern take. There's just these guys who stole some Asgardian stuff. And that's how, and they're the Wrecking Crew.
I mean, to be fair, it's not like the first time they've done that before, because I'm pretty sure in Spider-Man: Homecoming, They were using like some of the old tech and stuff from like various.
Yeah, you're
Cleanup.
right. You're right.
That's how I think they had the Shocker, right? Like his whole thing, like he had like some used up, like not Chitauri stuff, but like it was basically old gear, and straight, and also I think the Vulture's flight suit was like partially like Chitauri stuff anyway. So yeah, I think it is a nice way of like sort of like bringing some of that stuff together instead of just trying to explain like new fantastical items. It's just like, oh yeah, it's just some old stuff, or like, oh yeah, it's just like some Asgardian stuff they stole, or like whatever. And yeah, they try to attack her, and they're obviously just clearly outmatched by She-Hulk, and they sort of run away. Where it's like, this was a bad idea. Hey, did you do the thing where it's like, no, I tried to get some of the blood, but she was already She-Hulk by the time I tried to do it. It didn't work out. And it's like, man, the boss is gonna be mad. So that leads sort of a little
breadcrumb
of like, okay, maybe there will be some more interesting stuff to the show besides just being a straight up lawyer's show with superheroes. You know, where it's like, okay,
yes, essentially a She-Hulk comic.
yeah, where it's like, okay, there is seeming to be a potential pit boss who wants the She-Hulk's blood.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's not the first time that's happened.
No, of course not.
So, you know, because obviously I think in the first Hulk movie they wanted Hulk's blood. You know.
Yeah, so you can already guess who it might be.
Yeah, we might be figuring out who might be.
If you don't know what happened in the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. To see that stuff.
But this episode was really my favorite one of all of them, just because like it was just such like what I wanted a She-Hulk show to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this fun lawyer stuff, like not deep like Daredevil lawyering, like it did in his show.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like it's fun. It's fun, just that. And like even funny enough, even Megan Thee Stallion makes a cameo appearance, which is like, oh, we built this up. Oh, she's right there.
Yeah, where they make the joke, obviously, with the shapeshifter, and then she's just like, oh yeah, I'm here. You know, she's like in the back of the courtroom, just being like, man, this is just some funny stuff going on.
And everyone's like, wait, is that Megan Thee Stallion?
Why is she? He's like, why is she even here?
Because why not?
But yeah, no, I agree. Out of these two episodes, I think the third one is definitely probably my favorite. Mm-hmm. It definitely, I think it does the concept of She-Hulk, of what they want the show to be, very well. Mm-hmm. Just a fun superhero lawyer show with occasional like action, some well-written comedy. I think it's finally. I think it's sort of like, there it is. That's the thesis of the show. Mm-hmm. You know, like this is what the show should be, and you know, I think it works well. I think the only like downside to the She-Hulk show is just the CG for She-Hulk. It's still a little rough.
Yeah, there's moments where like when she's like walking into the room, it's like, oh god, that looked really weird. Like something about the walk animation didn't look right. I think it's just the way the head movement, and it's sad because I think they were able to nail like Abomination and like Hulk, right?
Yeah, I mean they look fine. I honestly wonder like what it is, because I always assume like like they just mocap them, right?
Yeah, I think it might be the shade of green, and I've noted this a while back, and some people have also noted this too. That She-Hulk's hair is weirdly like shaded, and like it just doesn't look like it goes with the body. It's also weird because like Jennifer Walters in human form has very like curly hair, while her She-Hulk form has very like, you know, straight hair, which is like, not saying like that's not okay. So like, dude, I got long hair right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I were to become a Hulk, this would stay like more curlier, but it becomes straight for whatever reason. Like for me, it takes me out of the immersion for a little bit.
I mean, yeah. I mean, to be fair, some of the characters point that out. It's like, we need to get your hair looking more like She-Hulk hair.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, it's definitely interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly sure if it's.
But what I'm getting at is I think the model doesn't match the actor. Because, like, with Tim Roth and Abomination, you can see a little Tim Roth in there, maybe, but it's mostly still just Abomination. With Hulk and, like, Hulk looks like a little bit more like what's his name, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, to be fair, and I don't think you're wrong because when we look back at Hulk in the MCU, like Hulk in the Incredible Hulk movie looks completely different to how he looks in the Avengers. And I think partially it is because we wanted to make him look a bit more like Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
So we changed the design a little bit. So yeah, no, I definitely do agree. Maybe it is sort of like there is a bit of disconnect where it's like, okay, she doesn't look exactly like how regular Jen Walters looks like.
Yeah, face. Okay, I think it's also the face of her. Like I say, like it might be a different shade. Like it's the shade of green that they went with. Because like I could see a bit of the face being like her, but like it just doesn't really match well. I do think maybe they need to go back and work on the CGI for her. I don't think it's a terrible look because like if you were to tell me like this is how she's gonna look, She-Hulk in live action, I'm like okay that's fine if I'm looking at it as a still, but when it's in movement, it's when it starts really looking really off.
Yeah, and it's just honestly kind of weird because you feel like for the most part, some of these Marvel shows have had at least a good enough budget to showcase like all the CG they have to use. So yeah, it's just a little odd that for the main, like for She-Hulk, for our main character who's gonna be mostly CGI for good chunks of the show, she just looks a little off a lot of times in motion, you know. But I don't know. It's just it's very interesting.
Listen, at some point they will get it down, right?
I mean,
I think right now it's fine because like she's not in She-Hulk mode a lot, and it's fine. But you know, we can get past it because the show itself is very good and very funny. This might be one of my, as it goes, might be one of my favorite MCU shows. And yeah, I think anything else to add?
No, I mean, obviously, we can't really get that into it, but I mean, again, the fact that there is like this, I guess, emerging plot of, oh hey, there's a character who's hiring a bunch of villains to get Jennifer Walters' blood, that's obviously going to develop into something more.
Yeah.
I mean, we can probably speculate a little bit, but I feel like it's more like it definitely is treated a bit more like a offhanded thing that will develop later on, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that all turns out.
Yeah.
But overall, I think the second episode was fine. The third episode is I think is the potential has been matched for the She-Hulk show. That's the bar, I think.
Yeah. We'll see if they'll be able to top it. Funny enough, I think I remember hearing that some of the writers were like had to like scrap the idea of some of the lawyer stuff because they're like, yeah, we're not writing good lawyer stuff. And it's it was a little concerning, but I can kind of see why, because like it's not, the lawyer stuff in the show isn't very like lawyery. It's more like a fun lawyer.
It's about it's I guess on the level of like regular TV lawyering where it's like not super accurate, but it gets the job done, right?
Yeah, it's not gonna be serious.
Yeah, I mean, granted, yeah, I guess it's not gonna be Law and Order or anything, right?
It's not gonna be Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
So, which is totally makes sense for me. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a Marvel show. They don't necessarily have to be like super realistic. It is a show about superheroes. Like it's taking comedic take to it. So I don't. Yeah. It'd be nice, but it definitely if they know that they can't really do it well, it's probably best just to like write what you know and not try to like write stuff that
like there's nothing wrong with like trying to branch out, get out of the comfort zone. But like if you feel like what you're writing isn't
great, and if you have like a deadline to meet, you gotta like go what works best,
Yeah, you don't want to like make something that you yourself are gonna look back at and not be proud of. But if you did what like you did right now, where it's something that you are clearly proud of, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't blame you. But anyways, that's the end of the episode, guys. If you enjoy what you heard, by the way, we both are enjoying She-Hulk. I think it's just getting better and better. Yeah, and we are enjoying She-Hulk. Yes. If you like what you heard, be sure to follow us on social media at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at the Geek Centurions. And if you're on Instagram, where we're most likely active, you'll find a link tree to all the podcasts that we're officially part of, like Apple Podcasts, Go Podcasts, and Spotify. So much more than that down there, but they'll give you an idea once you find us. And you'll also find a link to the YouTube where you'll find us really there just doing all the YouTube stuff. Put a face to the voice. For all you audio listeners out there, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And we also have a Patreon for all you guys who want to support us in an informal way. And yeah, that's She-Hulk episode 3 and 4. Some of the better episodes, I hope. It's 9 episodes, right?
Yeah, it is. 9 episodes,
so they might be able to pull this off. They might have found the right number, or like the right pacing for this specific show, because I remember hearing Daredevil might be a 20, and that's both interesting and maybe concerning.
Yeah, who knows how that's gonna work out.
Yeah, that's true.
But, yeah.
But anyways, guys, it's me, your boy Eli.
Me, Joe.
You guys have a good one. Peace.